I just want to spend a second and reframe the conversation about sleep and pain. Now, reframing is the right word because if you've ever had some kind of orthopedic trauma, maybe you've been squatted too heavy or you had surgery, man, there comes a time in the middle of the night where you wake up potentially because your brain can only hear one thing. And we tend to see that the closer that pain is to your head, the sooner you're gonna get that information. Now, what's going on there? One of the things that happens is that oftentimes your pain is actually not worse at night, or your tissue signaling isn't worse, or that your brain isn't more sensitized at night. What's happened is you've removed all the other stimuli for your brain during that sleep time. So it means that you're not moving, so that you're not hot, you're not cold, you're not distracted by other stimulus in your life. And so the only information your brain is getting in that moment is this pain. And certainly that is a big deal because we know that if you don't sleep, you're not going to heal, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things though that is useful is to appreciate the role that pain is playing in that moment. And keep in mind that if we start with that assumption that pain is a request for a change in behavior, then what request is it sending me? Well, oftentimes when we have swelling or we've got joint impairment or tissue impairment, one of the things that's happening is that lack of movement in some situations could be causing those tissues to become more congested. So they're going to continue to do that thing, but you're no longer moving and no longer decongesting the area, and so swelling is building up, or your brain is saying, hey, let's go ahead and just move. And what an amazing system that we've got, that if you have tissue trauma, that your brain and swelling and you need to keep moving, your brain is gonna go ahead and wake you up from that restless, deep, perfect sleep or restful sleep and say, let's go ahead and get going again. So that's not really comforting when you're sort of losing your mind at 3 or 4 in the morning, but what I want you to do is keep in mind that that's actually, when this happens, you should think is, oh, what's going on here? My brain is asking me to move. Can I move in a way? Can I get up? Can I pump my leg? Can I get back to some of the modalities that I have, either Normattac or using an NMES device? Can I vibrate with a roller? Can I have input? And it can be enough to sort of give you a break or to reset or to have pumped the tissues or to moved or just gotten you off of a jointy hot spot and changed sort of the tissue loading in that position. So the key here is to appreciate, one, that when we just blanket over all pain, one of the things that happens is that we end up sort of suppressing some of that movement drive. So that's great, you were able to sleep, which again, crucial, and I don't want you to be in massive amounts of pain during the night. That's not good either. We want to be able to sort of come to a fine balance. And that balance is wherever you feel like it is. How do I bring my symptoms down to a place that's manageable? And simultaneously, how do I not just paper over all of those signals coming from my brain and appreciate that pain in this situation is asking us to move. Pain is asking us to help decongest. So however you're gonna manage that, up to you, but a wise person once told me, how do you take care or how do you control a wild bull? You put it in a big field, right? And when you have this pain in your system and you're thinking, I'm never gonna sleep, and if I don't sleep, I'm never gonna get out of this pain, yada, yada. It's easy to certainly death spiral at that 2 or 3 in the morning. But if you think to yourself, hey, maybe this is an okay biological survival mechanism and I recognize it, and maybe at that point you can take your Tylenol or your pain meds appropriately or use some of these other modalities to help manage that or get some stimulus in to the brain system so it's not only hearing that pain mechanism, then we can not have to just, again, either say 1 or 0, because that pain piece is a big self-guarding mechanism, right? If I am on so many narcotics that I can't appreciate when I'm overdoing it, when I've had enough stimulus, that's a problem, right? We know that after surgery, we need to let the tissues heal. We need to get a dose and then get off those tissues and let them respond appropriately. And again, the key here is that this is a complex conversation. And if you are one of these people like me who's recently had surgery, I woke up in the middle of the night last night and was like, oh, my brain is telling me I need to move my leg a little bit, right? I was very, very comfortable, got 2 or 3 or 4 hours of good sleep and then needed needed to move again. And instead of freaking out, I got up, I read my book a little bit, I moved around, I put on my NMES device, I did a little pumping, and all of a sudden, I felt like my brain came out of that threat mode, and I was able to go back to sleep. So, again, this is not just accepting that you're going to be in pain the rest of your life. This is appreciating the important role it plays in our healing. And that's not to say that you should be writhing around at 9 out of 10 discomfort, losing your mind, but hey, some discomfort is part of this surgical rehab game. Accepting that is part of an important part of this conversation. Ameliorating or attenuating it down to 0 may not be realistic, and maybe circumventing some of the important protective mechanisms pain provides us. So again, pain and sleep, it's tricky, but maybe this reframing will help you in the middle of the night get up and not panic so much.